I am so excited to be here. This marks my 16th year in ACN, and it's an honor for me to be here and share a little bit of my story with you. And I really want to just piggyback on what you heard. To me, ACN is a decision to win. I looked at ACN back in 1996. I was practicing law full-time. I was a discrimination attorney. And my husband was an international consultant with the 4th largest consulting firm in the world. And on a piece of paper, we had it going on, but not really. We had done everything that people taught us to. My husband and I both went to Johns Hopkins University. He went on, he was pursuing a master's. I went on to get my law degree, and we had gotten ourselves in a position at a young age where we had a great income coming in, and everything looked so promising from the outside. But what really happened is we were completely miserable, and me especially. I didn't like being a lawyer at all. I wanted to help people. I wanted to make a difference. And what I found is that the legal world, at least what I had been exposed to, was all about money and burning through people and just billing people. I was completely disillusioned. And a client of mine came to me and talked to me about ACN. I didn't know anything about telecommunications. I didn't know anything about marketing, never even heard of network marketing. I didn't know what in the world it was, but I saw something that I'd never seen before, and I saw quality of life. And everybody I knew that made a lot of money, they all had no life. And everyone I knew that had a free time, you know what they didn't have? They ain't got no money, right? So I looked at this and I saw people like Oren Solomon and Larry Raskin, and they were living this freedom. I couldn't even imagine being able to have something like that. So I got involved in the company, and I was really, really bad at it. Months went by and I wasn't an ETT, and my best friend wouldn't even look at the business, and my brother wouldn't look at the business, and nobody wanted to look at the business. And everybody in my family said no. All my friends said no. Nobody that I was close with would get in the business with me. And I was really on the verge of just quitting and figuring, it wasn't for me. And then, thank goodness, some people pushed me to come to a convention just like this, but a little smaller, in 1996. And I came to the convention, and I sat there, and I listened to Greg Provenzano, and I watched the testimonials, and at that moment, I knew it was real. And I really wanted it, so I decided no matter what happened, I wouldn't quit, and that I would get there. So I started building my business, and I was doing okay, and things were moving, but it seemed like I was on a highway, and I was riding a bicycle, and everybody else was in a car. You ever had that feeling? I mean, people are just zooming past me. I watch people get in after me and go RVP and go SVP and go Circle of Champions, and I'm on my bicycle, and it just happened over and over again, and all these people are having all this success, and I just struggled and struggled and struggled, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. And what happened that I think made the biggest difference is I started to really get into personal growth. And I listened to a CD many, many years ago. I can't even count how many times I've listened to it now. And it talked about your personal conversations, your internal conversations, and what you say to yourself and how that impacts you. So I started listening to what I was saying to myself, and the things I was asking myself were, how come everybody else is having success? How come everybody else is passing me? Why can't I find somebody who's going to do really well? Why have I never gotten anybody who's got network marketing experience? Why is it just not happening for me? And I would come to every convention. I wouldn't quit. I would not quit. So I just kept showing up and showing up and showing up, and I would look at the stage, and there were those people. You know what they are? Those people that run laps across the stage 80 times, and they're perfect, and they get up and they fill out an IBO agreement, and by lunch they're a team coordinator, by dinner they're an RVP, and the next weekend they're Circle of Champions, and I want to be one of those people. So I just kept listening and listening, and then I really had some breakthroughs because I started to understand God in my life. And that's when everything changed. And if you understand and you know God, you'll understand what I'm going to say. And if you don't, you should work on that like I did, because here's what I realized, that God doesn't put you somewhere by accident. And God doesn't give you a dream to tease you so you can't fulfill it. God puts you somewhere for a purpose so you can become somebody and you can make a difference and you can lead people. And I didn't know why it wasn't happening for me. And then I'll never forget, I made regional vice president, and the day I made regional vice president, it was funny, there were 3 of us got promoted that day. And one person did it in 12 months, and one person did it in 2.5 years, and then it took me 5.5 years. And I was talking to my husband before we went up there, I went, wow, this is, kind of a little embarrassing, you know what I mean? Like, it's taken me a pretty long time. And he just looked at me, he's like, you're such a knucklehead. He said, people need to see that. He said, they need to see that if you stay in it, you win. So, my very brilliant husband, Michael, really hit me over the head with a 2x4 when he said that, and I went, that must be my purpose. That's why God has me going through this. So that if somebody else thinks that they're not supposed to be here, they'll learn to master their personal conversation and stop asking yourself why it's going the way it's going. Start asking yourself, what is my purpose? How am I going to help other people? When somebody in my team is struggling and maybe they've lost their momentum or they're not where they want to be, how will my experience allow me to reach that person, and how will it make me better in the business? Because God's doing this because He needs me to grow and serve, and that's what our purpose is here. So what's so crazy is after that, I just all these things, I realized that, and I just started going and praying and just going with it. I'm like, I'm going to work hard. I'm not going to sit back. I'm not going to wait for it to happen. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to go in phase 1. I'm going to do everything I can. But all I'm going to do is just keep focusing on serving other people. And Oren Solomon popped up into my life, and he said, if you just focus on your people, everything will come together. So I just started doing that. I just started focusing on my people. I didn't think about anything else. I just thought, how do I make my people successful? How do I get someone else in President's Club? How does somebody else get a promotion? How does somebody else get a check? And it's just this, all of a sudden, everything started to change. It was the craziest experience. And all of a sudden, all these great people started coming into my business. A great friend of mine who told me no 14 years ago decided to get into ACN a year and a half ago. Went ETT in 48 hours, ETL in 14 days, team coordinator in 7 months, straight into President's Club, and he's going to be in RD tomorrow. My buddy Lou, 14 years later, is in the business with me. So I believe that these things are happening on purpose because I wasn't ready to help people, and I still have a lot more growth to do. But this is the craziest thing. Last night, I was talking to Mr. Larry Raskin, who we'll see get to SVP tomorrow, and he's been a great influence in my life, and he said to me, do you know that you're the only person in ACN who took 16 years to finally make the Circle of Champions? So it's really wild. 16 years later, it all worked out. And to me now, the business is so different. Because now what's also happened is I've had the blessing of becoming a parent, and my little boy Roman is the light of my life, and he's 6 years old, and you know what? I want him to see things that ACN represents. I want him to see that you serve people. I want him to see that you help people. I want him to be around personal growth and be around self-improvement, but more than that, I want him to know we don't quit in this family, ever. And this morning, I found out yesterday I would have a minute to be here, and I really didn't know what I was going to talk about, but God has a great sense of humor. So right as I was walking up to the arena, a woman came up to me and asked me whether she should quit because she's struggling and she's not doing that well. And I want to tell her and anyone else who's ever had that thought that you owe it to yourself not to quit. You owe it to your children that they never see you quit. You owe it to the team you don't have yet, that they never see you quit. You owe it to the mentors who pray for you every night, that you never quit. And you owe it to these incredible founders who built this so you could do anything, that you never quit. Thank you so much for your time.